Rodney, you said that you didn't think that you were going to make it. Was it to 25 or past 25?
To 25.
For a kid to be sitting there thinking that they're not going to make it to 25, that's crazy. Break down something that strengthened that belief. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. Thank you for being here. Rodney, how you doing?
I am good. I'm good, sir. How you doing today?
I'm actually doing fantastic. Absolutely wonderful, honestly.
All right. Well, hey, we got a shout out. Hey, Mike will be back. Just letting you know. So, hey, he's finishing up his project, and it's a big project. So we proud of my brother. Hey, he's been going at this for a while, so we just can't wait for him to come back and just share some of the things he's been going through. He's been sharing with us, but he's going to share it with you when he get back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All things going well. It's continuing to move forward. So in this episode is going to be a little bit different than probably what you're used to. This is going to be, for those who I would recommend sitting down for this one. Okay. It can get a bit deep, but I really want you to grab the information and really sit with it for a second. Because if you do, I believe that it could possibly be the key that unlocks a completely new life for a lot of people. Because what we're talking about here essentially is like breaking your chains. And those chains is typically the beliefs that you hold that make you into the person that you are. But the issue is, and this is what we're going to be talking about, is that oftentimes people don't really understand, or they're not aware of the fact that they can actually change those beliefs. You aren't just this being just because the person who you perceive yourself to be has most likely been made up of a lot of belief, action, feedback, and then that reinforced the belief. But the thing is, that can be undone. And now I know that was out there. Let me bring it. Let me give it some context and some color. We have a saying that goes, "Old dog can't learn new tricks," right? The thing is, that old dog. Let's say, for example, I've got a grandpa, and I'm like, "Hey, grandpa, there's this new thing. It's called a phone. All you gotta do is you go swipe on this screen and you do X, Y, and Z, and you can do certain stuff. It's really cool." And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm not tech savvy. Oh, no, I don't do all that phone stuff. Oh, no, that's for kids. Oh, no, I'm just not that type of person." Every one of those statements that I just said is a statement of belief. That's what he believes is true. But the reality is that man has the same raw material as everybody else. He's got a brain, he's got arms, legs, hopefully we're talking about the majority of people here. Okay. Anybody who's otherwise, I'm sorry. But like, you got the same raw material as everybody else. So just the same way that I'm able to move my finger along the screen, you are as well. But it's the belief that maybe came from something that happened in your past that was reinforced over time, that is making you not even take the first step forward and doing this thing. Because now, instead of you being in control of your beliefs are in control of you.
As a kid, growing up, what I believed, right? I didn't believe this, just to be real, I didn't believe I would live to be 25. That was a reality in my head that I walked around with because of what was going on in my neighborhood, what I would see on the news. Hey, a black kid outside Chicago, you basically, your odds on going to jail, you're either gonna be in jail, you're gonna be dead, were super high. And that's what you saw. That's what they fed into your head. So that was a belief. So you walk around as a young kid thinking that I won't live to be 25. That's a belief that a lot of us walked around with. And so you live life based on a belief that your life was only going to be like this. And guess what? I saw what it did to me and other kids. You you lived a reckless life thinking that you wasn't going to have long life. So the beliefs, beliefs are crucial.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, I don't think we think about that a lot. I don't think we really take time to sit back and say, what do we believe? Like that cell phone piece you brought up, technology. Older people, and not older people, but people who say, oh, I can't use technology, I can't do this. Well, guess what? You bank and everything we do is transitioning from being in person to doing online or on your phone. So you hinder your whole life if you don't open yourself up and understand what you believe and start and have an open mind to examine it and change.
I want to go back just a little bit though, because you said something that I think was really important. And when we come back, I want to go to the fact that people are making these statements of belief all day. Like literally, you have a conversation with someone, just listen closely, and when you start to become aware of these belief statements, you'll be able to pretty much dissect all of who a person is just in their conversation and their statements of belief. They will tell you what they can and can't do in a simple conversation with those. But like, Rodney, you said that you didn't think that you were going to make it. Was it 225 or past 25?
225.
225. Tell me, break down a little bit, because I think this is exactly what we're talking about. Break down maybe a circumstance or something that strengthened that belief.
So, just, and you know this, Martell, I haven't shared it with the group in a while, but so I grew up in the 70s and 80s in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. Gang activity was high, okay? As a kid growing up, I never considered myself in a gang, but hey, when they fought, we rolled together, whatever. So you would see, there were shootings, there was fights, there was like beefs, and you would see people, your friends, either get put in jail or get shot or whatever. It happened. Now, did it happen like on the TV shows? No. Did it happen like on everyday occurrence? No, but it happened often enough, and you knew danger was around you. Okay, and then the police. Let's be honest, the police was not considered our friends at that time, and I'm talking about from the age of 9. Okay, this is the mindset. This is what we saw. This is what we saw around us. So at 9 years old, your world is very small. So your neighborhood is your world.
Yeah.
So when you listen to these old cats telling you about, man, yeah, you gotta watch out for this. They pouring this stuff in you too as well. Like, hey, it ain't no life out there. You seeing them on the corner drinking, and their lives are like either they in jail or on their way to jail or whatever. You that's all you see. So your beliefs get based on these individuals that you are interacting with, whether it be your friends, whether it be the people around you, whether it be what people telling you. Like, man, you got adults, and in some cases, but people saying, yeah, this is what's going to happen to you. So these people are pouring these thoughts in your head, and then before you know it, you start to believe what they're saying. And then you adopt it, and you just take it as fact. And you and your friends think the same way. So, and I will say this, that changed when I went to high school, because I went to high school in an area totally out of my neighborhood. So I got exposed to other things. So my beliefs changed.
There's a process for that belief. Like you didn't just come out the womb like, I'm not going to make it 25, right? There were things that had to happen for you to then form this belief. Mm-hmm. And because that belief was formed, you were saying that you lived in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Because that's the nature of beliefs. Like once you actually believe a thing to be true, you have no choice. You're going to act like it. And then if that thing gets reinforced, now you start to move further and further towards being that kind of person. Because that's essentially what we're talking about. It's a belief turns into an action, and then actions make up your reality. And then all of this cycle, there's feedback from that. This cycle further and further turns you into a certain type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're sitting here, when we're talking about like these beliefs and everything, it's like for a kid to be sitting there thinking that they're not going to make it to 25, that's crazy.
Yeah. Looking back, it is. But, the scary part about it is kind of what you're talking about is that when going back to that 10-year-old Rodney, it didn't seem strange at all. Nor was it strange to the people I was around because that was the world, that was the reality we were living in. And as you were talking, it just made me think about how, and you said at the very beginning, a lot of our belief system starts when we're like a child, when we're younger. And I think about those individuals who are, because words are powerful. And, I know, different households are different. But I remember a friend of mine, one of the parents used to call the person stupid all the time. Oh, you stupid, you stupid. And looking back, the individual was not stupid in school, but he was led to believe that he was stupid. So he didn't put time into the school work, because, hey, I'm not right. And he took that on. Yeah. And so his grades always suffered because he was a self-fulfilling prophecy, basically. Hey, I'm stupid. I'm not supposed to get good grades because of belief.
And see, that's the issue right there. It's like sometimes, and you were talking about this earlier, it's like sometimes you just take on beliefs that other people have about you. And if you never actually question them, if you never put those beliefs in check, then you end up being miserable. Because they aren't you. And so they can't live your life for you. So just because you've, taken on their beliefs, most likely it's not going to go well. Especially if it's one of those like, you're stupid. You're ugly. You can't do that. That's impossible for you. You'll never be able to achieve those things.
And Martell, and I think we both, and you take them, you look back. I always say all our hangups go back to childhood. They go back to what this whole topic here about beliefs, what you believe about yourself. And I mean, how many times, and I know you've had conversations with people, but even myself, when I look back, I'm like, oh man, that's where I got that from. That's where that insecurity came from, because I believed something about myself that caused me to be insecure. Now, as an adult, that's still kind of in me. It creates insecurity in this area. You know what I'm saying? And let's use something safe real quick. I'll say looks, okay? So growing up, somebody said, hey man, you ugly all the time. I don't care how good you look, you got a mindset that you ugly if you don't overcome it, and if you don't have the right reinforcement. So
and what happens from that, Rodney, is that if you have that belief, it's going to show up in how you dress. It's going to show up in your social situations. It's going to show up in every interaction that has something to do with where someone's going to be looking at you, because you're not going to be as open. You're not going to be as bold. You might not even show up to the job interview because of this belief. Please continue.
No. You're right. And I want to go down, keep going down that road, because you hitting on something. Now, that's one side of that belief. But then the other side of that belief, you can get the person that got to be G'd up all the time, got the best clothes in the world, got their makeup, or got they always manicured. They always, everything is like top. Everything got to be great, because they got to look the best they can look, and they got to show the world that I look good.
Yeah.
And so that belief got two sides to it.
Yeah.
It could lead to two different things.
And it's crazy because I know that other side right there. I know that probably came that person, they got dressed one day for service or whatever, and their mom was like, "Oh, son, you fresh because you got your watch and you got your chain and you looking good today," and you left the house feeling good. Little did you know, a belief was building. Now, without that chain, without that watch, without the same level of pristine that you have to your parents, you feel insecure. You
Yeah.
can't even go outside. You are a prisoner to this belief. Because if you ain't got it all dialed in, then you ain't going out.
Man, Martell, you preach it. And then look, lay on top of that, fast forward to now, that same individual on social media, they
Oh,
all day long, all day long. And so, we wonder, where does that come from? It comes from the very place you just talked about, from that young kid who been told something and took on a belief and either falling into it or trying to counter it in a way, and they bring it all the way into adulthood.
It's a dangerous feedback loop right there, because that person who's on this particular side, maybe that situation happened with their mom, but then they went out and then other people told them that they look good, but they didn't look good because of anything that was actually within them. They felt like they looked good because of what they had on, what they were wearing, the things that they put on themselves. And so that, again, we're talking about this cycle here. It continued to reinforce itself, because every time you went out, when someone complimented you, you felt like it's because of what you were wearing and how you prepared yourself to go out instead of who you are.
Yes. And that, man, I mean, as we, go, so really that's that belief that's illustrated through, I would call it, external stuff, right? And I guess as we kind of go down this path and shift a little bit, and we're talking about the dangers of what we believe and how those beliefs can kind of manifest themselves in a way that's negative. How can what we believe take us somewhere positive?
So I think in order to really understand this, I think first, and I think we just covered it, there's the point of being aware. Okay. Just start to take note of those statements that you say, like, and look, there's different levels of a belief, because like you could say, like, there's a certain type of belief where, I believe that all salesmen are slimy. They do terrible. They're all crooks and criminals, which means that you and yourself, you're going to start to believe, I just shouldn't be a salesperson, or I'm not built for sales because those are slimy people. And then what's going to show up, if you have a business, you're going to be like, you're never going to know what to say when it comes to a sales situation, because you believe that all salespeople are slimy. So you're not going to be able to act. And so being able to spot a belief, saying, hey, okay, I just made a statement, and that's a statement of belief, and I am actually in control of that belief. And so now, because I'm aware of this, I can do something about it. Now you got to understand. Now you got to really now you got to come to terms with who you want to be, what you want to believe, where you want to go. Because all this is you becoming somebody.
Yeah.
And so I think getting a little bit onto the other side of this thing is, one, you become aware of it. Now you have the opportunity to take away whatever that statement of belief is, change it so that it works for you and not against it. And then moving forward, so that you can reinforce this, because we talked about it before, like the kid who's always fresh, always got to wear X, Y, and Z, and is completely insecure if he goes out and he doesn't have these things on. If he changes that belief, and he believes that, oh, I don't need to have all this stuff, I can still be fresh, and people are still gonna accept me because of who I am, not just what I'm wearing. And then you go out and then you realize, oh, the world ain't so scary. People actually want to talk to me still, even though I'm not wearing the watch. Wait a minute. People want to be my friend, and they just like my conversation, my personality. They like who I am. Then this is reinforced. And then again, we're talking about this feedback loop here. Now the person becomes more and more comfortable, more and more secure with themselves. And now the belief that was keeping them handcuffed to their house and their stuff is no longer, they have broken the chain, is what I'm saying.
And that example you give, in the chain that they're breaking, is that their identity is based on what they're wearing and how they look versus who they are. So the belief system changes from, a material focused belief on what you wear and what you got on as being who identifies who you are versus you internally knowing that, you know what, I'm a good person, or I'm likable without, having the best clothes or the best jewelry or the best shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so that's that belief system changing and focusing on something different. And I guess something that's real, that's more tangible too, because that's the other part too. Having a believing in things that are, what's the word I want to use, that are materialistic, and using those as a way to kind of show who you are, always fail.
Well,
They always lead to, I will say, people getting lost in those things,
yeah.
And I think I think one thing I at least just want to throw out there too, we gotta understand who we are and believe in who we are, that we can learn something new, that we can break those chains where we got beliefs that are holding us back. I mean, some people believe they can't stop smoking. Well, if you believe that, then you will never stop smoking. You gotta.
And what he just said isn't no like sort of, oh, you just gotta speak it in, or you just gotta write it on a sheet of paper and then that's just what it is. No, what he's saying is like, it's a belief is way deeper than just some little tagline or something that you put on Twitter or something that goes up on a poster on a wall. A belief is something that is a part of you, that you can trace this thing back to actually how you behave, like how you have lived your life. That's what he's talking about.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so please continue.
No, and it's a fact, because, and using smoking as an example, it's a hard habit to break. I never smoked, but it's an addiction attached to the nicotine that causes people to smoke. But if you want to stop smoking, you got to believe you can stop smoking. You have to change your mindset. You got to break that chain, as Martell said, that you can't stop smoking. And you need to go get it. Some people can do it cold turkey. My dad did it cold turkey. But some people need help. But you got to seek it. You got to believe that you can do it before you can change it.
And one thing that I want everybody to be aware of is like, if you are a believer, okay, if you believe in God, then Philippians 4:13, I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sure this is probably in somebody's bio on Instagram. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. If you are a believer, then this verse, this statement is true for you as well. So every time you get into a situation where someone wants you to do something, or you should do something, and then one of those belief statements comes up like, I'm not that person, or I can't do that, or that's just impossible for me. I want you to take note of that belief. I want you to crumple it up, find the nearest trash can. I want you to throw it in there. And then I want you to remember that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. So whether that comes to smoking, whether that comes to drinking, or anything else like that, I want you to understand that it is possible. And that's the first step. But then comes the work. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say like the breaking that chain is going to be just the easiest thing you've ever done, because you've probably been reinforcing it your entire life. Going back to the example of the guy who can't go outside of the house unless he has the nicest, the newest, the best, the shiniest things on. He's been reinforcing this for so long. So it's not just going to be today he just says, well, I'm going out and I ain't got none of that on today, and he's just going to be fine. Nah, look, he's been reinforcing this thing since he was a kid. Mm-hmm. It's going to take some work. You will have to persevere. But I promise you that the other side is so much better.
Yeah, you're right on point. And I think, just to go back to some things you brought up before, Martell, is the fact that there got to be recognition. Because I think if without recognition, there's no change, because you don't think you need to change. And
exactly.
And unfortunately, a lot of people, that self-examination has to happen. Like, okay, why are clothes so important to me? Why how I look is so important to me? That type of examination. smoking is pretty straightforward. Your health, okay, that's it. But some of these other things, behaviors that we have and beliefs that we have, I don't know about you, and that's where you got to have the right people around you. You got to examine yourself sometimes to be like, okay, like you might challenge me, and you have, open my mind up to like, well, why you want to do it that way? Well, and those are the questions that, why do I want to do it that way? Because I always done it that way, because I believe this is the way you're supposed to do it. And you don't open yourself up to understand there might be other ways to do it. So that open mind, that recognition is key. It is.
And this is I'm gonna start getting back into the habit of having this segment of the episode, but taking it to the kingdom perspective here, just for a second.
Go ahead, take it back.
Just coming back to the kingdom perspective here. God is the king, right? He's got authority over all. And so us here, the Bible talks about us being like soldiers sometimes. It's like we have a mission that we're supposed to be carrying out. And so not being a slave to a belief that didn't come from God automatically disqualifies you from doing your assignment. Think about it here. If God gave you a mission and you don't believe that you can actually achieve the thing, you believe that, well, I can't do because of, or my mom used to say, or this runs in my family, therefore I can't. All of those things disqualifies you from doing what you were born to do, what you were created to do, the mission that God called you to do. Now, if God called you to do it, I mean, we've just read the verse, it's possible.
Yeah.
But the belief is stopping you from actually doing it. You can't let that happen. The kingdom perspective, from the kingdom perspective here, now you need to understand that it's not about how I feel about the situation. It's not about how, what my perception is of whether it's possible or not. It's just about obedience at that point. God called you to do something. Get up and do it.
How would you close this out in a way that people can understand, points that we're trying to get across here today as it relates to beliefs?
I know there's somebody out there who's like, oh, that's good. And if we stop now, what they're going to do is they're going to walk away. They're going to be able to be aware of the statement of belief. And they're going to say, oh, well, okay, this is what we were talking about. I can. And then they're going to run into a wall. And then they're going to forget about everything we just said. Okay. So I just want to make this really very practical for everybody out there. So that's the first step. Okay. Just laying this out. The first step is being able to perceive when you are making a statement of belief, understanding what beliefs you actually have, and then backtracking where they actually came from. Okay, once you do that, now you understand that this thing, it's flimsy. It's not as big and threatening as I once thought it was. You can do something about this. But now you've got to reconstruct that. This is the part where you then put in its place a belief that you feel like you should have. One that's actually going to support you. One that's actually going to allow you to get the thing done that you know you should get done. You're going to be able to accomplish the mission. Okay? And then go out, and every time you face something that just tries to get you back into that old way of thinking, I want you to persevere. I want you to make sure that nothing can stop you. I want you to remember that Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. And I want you to keep moving forward, because what's going to happen is once you overcome it, that's feedback right there. And then that's going to reinforce the new belief that you have. Do it again. It's going to keep reinforcing it until you get to the point where you no longer believe what you used to believe, and you have become a new person who believes that you can.
Right. Man, I think that's definitely a period on this segment.
This thing is fixed, but I'll drop it like that.
You drop it
like that. I'll put it a little lower.
There you go. That way you save your money.
There we go. So housekeeping items, Rodney, you got some stuff for us?
Yeah. I want to make sure we first off rep our brother Mike. His apparel, Martell's wearing one of his shirts. You can go check that out if you're interested in some of the other things he got, because he got about 4 different ones. Boom, hey, that's Rebuilding Detroit, one house at a time. And actually, that brother's out there doing exactly that. So you can see the information. Mike Wright is his name. You've seen him on here before. He will be back. Matter of fact, I think he will be back our next segment. So, hey, welcome back, Martell. I've been trying to hold it down in his absence. For me, hey, just want to make sure you guys know that Freedom in Christ Ministry is having in-person service. We're still online, so don't forget about that. We there. So don't. If you across the country, wherever you are, you can still see us every Sunday. But now you can see us in person, 28202 Franklin Road, Southfield, Michigan, on Sundays, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, where our service start. Come check us out, but you need to be on time because we're not there all day. All right. Also, second Saturday of the month, Man 2.0, meet at the Freedom Center in Southfield. Same address as before. Come check us out. Brothers, is iron sharpen iron. I ain't going to tell you how much I need these brothers. And we just feed on each other and we lift each other up. And those beliefs that we talked about change because brothers in there are working to make sure that we believe that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Yep. And just real quick, that whole he mentioned being late. There's people who have the belief of like, oh no, I'm always late. If you're saying I'm always late, that's a statement of belief.
Yes.
You don't have to be late.
You
You don't have to be late, like for real. You can figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
But real quick. Look, if you are a roofer right now and you're out there having some issues because you're using like really outdated methods for marketing your business, right? You've got flyers out, you're handing them out to people, you're putting up signs, you're going door to door. But the thing is, I'm telling you right now, your competitors, the ones who are really doing it big, they've taken advantage of this whole online thing. They are getting people to know about their business, inquire about their business, and they're getting new business, generating real sales in their sleep. Because the thing is, they figured out how to get a system to work for them so that they don't have to do so much legwork to make the same things happen. And I built a thing, it's called Focus 417. It's a done for you video advertising agency that allows you to kind of implement the exact same thing. And it's done for you. And so if you are struggling right now to grow that business and you'd more so like to grow in a way that's predictable, reliable, and consistent, and that you don't need to take more time away from your family to get it rolling, I want you to go ahead into the description. Tap the link. It's going to ask you to fill out a little form, answer those questions, and we're going to get on a call to see if we can be a good fit and possibly if we can help you. So that's that. Focus 417. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in to the episode today. Hey, if you're on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe. If you might be listening to this on Spotify or something, share it with somebody. We definitely appreciate it. All that YouTube and Spotify stuff that you guys do. And with that, Rodney, we good?
We good.
All right. We will see y'all next week. Peace.